Devil's Hole is like hell for fish. No ordinary fish can survive here because the recorded air temperature reaches 134 degrees Fahrenheit and the water temperature is around 112 degrees Fahrenheit, which is an impossible temperature for most fish to live in. On top of that, the water contains almost no oxygen, and food is so scarce that survival is almost impossible. And yet, defeating all of this, one fish not only survives here, but actually thrives. This fish should not exist here at all because it breaks every rule of survival and directly challenges nature itself. This is the only fish species in the world that lives in such extreme and deadly conditions that any other fish would die here almost instantly. Scientists have tried many times to bring other fish here and release them, but they die within minutes, struggling for life. The most shocking thing is that this fish is not found in any river or lake. It lives in a cave that is smaller than your room, and today in the entire world, only 57 of these fish are left. But if you think people are trying to save them, you're wrong. Because from time to time, people talk about poisoning these fish and killing them, and they try every possible way to make sure these fish die. Somehow, the government has managed to protect these fish and keep them alive. Because of human greed and careless actions, this fish has come close to extinction 3 different times. But somehow, it survived. And now scientists say that this fish is extremely important for humans. So let's find out why in this video. In the beginning, people knew Devil's Hole as a cursed place. According to the beliefs of the local Timbisha Shoshone tribe, a terrifying demon named Tsoapitsi lived in this cave and devoured their children. Later, in the 19th century, travelers named this hot water cave Devil's Hole and even started bathing in it for fun. But they had no idea that this place was hiding one of the greatest mysteries on Earth. A mystery that would keep scientists awake at night in the future. On the surface, this lonely cave has only a small opening about 8 by 60 feet, and in its clear water, sunlight barely manages to reach. But the most shocking thing is this. To this day, no one knows how deep this cave really is. Divers have tried many times to measure its depth, and during one such attempt, in 1965, 2 young divers went down into Devil's Hole to measure its depth. But unfortunately, they never came back. Their goal was to discover the true depth and internal structure of this cave. But this cave is very narrow, dark, and extremely dangerous. Inside, the passages twist and turn. They don't go straight down. The water is very deep and divided into cold and hot layers. The visibility drops to 0. And the most dangerous thing of all, it's very easy to get lost. In that 1965 dive, both divers lost their way and couldn't find the exit. To this day, their bodies were never recovered. That's why even today, some people believe that a real monster truly lives inside that cave. In one mission, divers went 160 feet straight down and then entered a huge underwater chamber. They went as deep as 315 feet and still could not find the bottom, so they had to return without discovering it. An experienced diver named Jim Houts also made many dives to explore it, and every time he came back, he said the same thing. It feels endless. He says that when he goes inside this cave, it feels like he has entered a completely different world. The strangest thing is this. Whenever major earthquakes happen anywhere in the world, the waves from those earthquakes shake the water in this pool. Many times, after earthquakes in distant countries, the water here starts moving and forming waves. In 2019, after a big earthquake in California, waves about 2 meters high rose inside this pool and even splashed against the cave walls. In 1930, an American ichthyologist named Joseph H. Wales, along with his colleague George S. Myers, descended into this cave. There, they saw small fish swimming rapidly in the water. They were shocked because in such a hot, oxygen-poor, and food-starved desert environment, they could not believe that any vertebrate could survive here. Seeing these fish, Wales suspected that they might be different from any known species, so he collected a few of them for study. Later, laboratory examination showed that these fish were only about 2 centimeters long, with large heads and flat bodies. During breeding season, the males turn a bright turquoise blue, while the females appear green. Most surprisingly, these fish did not have pelvic fins, the fins near the belly that most fish have. This was a unique physical feature not seen in any other fish. In 1930, Wales published these fish as a new species in the scientific journal Copaea, naming it Cyprinodon diabolis. The word diabolis comes from Latin and means related to the devil, a name given because of their only natural habitat, Devil's Hole. In normal language, they are called the Devil's Hole pupfish. After Wales's discovery, for some time, the Devil's Hole pupfish remained a scientific curiosity. But after a while, people slowly began to forget about it. Then, in 1937, a biologist named Robert Rush Miller visited Devil's Hole for the first time. At that time, he was studying desert fish, but when he saw a few dozen fish struggling in this hot, oxygen-poor water, he became very worried. He realized that there were already very few left, and even a small environmental disturbance could wipe them out forever. So he raised his voice for the future of these tiny fish. In 1967, when the United States passed its first law to protect species, the Devil's Hole pupfish became the country's first officially endangered fish. This was mostly the result of Robert Miller's many years of effort. Miller thought that now, maybe these fish would finally be safe. But the biggest danger was still coming. A danger that almost wiped them out completely. In the 1940s, farmers and industrialists decided to use this dry region for agriculture. For that, they kept pumping groundwater from underground. This meant that in the future, the water level of Devil's Hole could drop. And if that happened, these fish could disappear forever. Even though Devil's Hole is very deep, the fish do not live in the deep parts. They live near the upper surface because sunlight reaches there, algae grows there, and they lay their eggs there. So if the water level dropped, these fish would die forever. But one scientist was quietly watching all of this. His name was Dr. Carl Levitt Hubbs. When the first study on Devil's Hole pupfish was published in 1930, Hubbs was one of the scientists who read it. At that time, he was also surveying desert fish in Nevada and California, so the news of Devil's Hole immediately caught his attention. By the late 1940s, he had seen that too much groundwater was being pumped in the Ash Meadows area for farming and development. He knew that within a few years, Devil's Hole could be in danger, so Hubbs kept writing letters to the government and the National Park Service, pushing them to protect this special place and its fish. Finally, in January 1952, his efforts paid off, and President Harry Truman signed an order making Devil's Hole part of Death Valley National Monument. But then another problem appeared. At first, the National Park Service did not pay much attention to this place. And because of that, a few years later, exactly what everyone feared started to happen. By the late 1960s, water had become extremely valuable in Nevada's dry desert. Outside companies bought land in Ash Meadows, dug many wells, and started pumping groundwater for farming. By 1968, the effect became visible in Devil's Hole. The water level started dropping dangerously, and a small rocky platform inside the cave began to dry out. This was the exact place where the pupfish lived, laid eggs, and where their food grew. As soon as this area dried, the pupfish population began to crash. Scientists panicked. Scientists put up posters in cities saying, "Save the pupfish," while farmers and businessmen put up posters saying, "Kill the pupfish." Over time, things got even worse. and soon the case reached the Supreme Court. In 1976, the court gave a historic decision. The court said that since Devil's Hole was made a national monument in 1952, the water needed for it belongs to the government. After this, a minimum water level was set by law for the pupfish. Fences, cameras, and sensors were installed around Devil's Hole for 24-hour monitoring. A special breeding facility was also built nearby, with the same hot, low-oxygen water conditions. But even today, some people still try to find ways to poison and kill these fish. The Devil's Hole pupfish is not just a rare fish, it is much more special than that. Its entire home is only about 3 meters wide and 20 meters long, probably the smallest habitat of any wild vertebrate animal in the world. Because it has been isolated for thousands of years, this fish has become completely unique compared to other pupfish. Scientists still don't know exactly when it got trapped here, or how it survived for so long in such hellish conditions. Some people believe the cave formed about 60,000 years ago, and the pupfish got trapped here about 15,000 years ago. Over thousands of years, it adapted itself to these extreme conditions. But the biggest problem with these fish is this. A female pupfish, in her entire 1-year lifespan, lays only 5 to 10 eggs. They become mature in 2 to 3 months and start laying eggs, but very few of the babies survive. Most of these fish die within 1 year. Because their population is so small, they breed among themselves, which makes their genes weaker and causes dangerous genetic mutations. In 2022, scientists from the University of California, Berkeley read the complete DNA of these fish for the first time. The results were shocking. When they compared the DNA of 8 different pupfish, they found that on average about 58% of their DNA was identical. This is like brothers and sisters breeding with each other for 4 to 5 generations in a row. Such low genetic diversity is very dangerous because harmful mutations build up, disease resistance weakens, and reproduction becomes harder. Scientists warn that if these bad changes increase, the entire population could slowly collapse on its own. Right now, both the wild and captive populations are reproducing reasonably well. But if climate change or a new disease appears in the future, such weak genetic strength could become a huge threat to this tiny fish. The biggest daily battle for these fish is food. Food is so scarce that they have been seen fighting each other for it. As I told you, very little sunlight reaches this cave, and only in that small area does algae grow, which is their only food. Many times, they have been seen nipping each other's tails or chasing away intruders. But over thousands of years of extreme food scarcity, nature has shaped their bodies in a special way. In hot water, most fish use more energy. But in their case, it's the opposite. These fish are adapted. Their bodies save energy even in heat. Their size is only about 1 inch, so they need very little food to survive. Another plus point is that their metabolism is very slow, meaning their body uses energy very slowly. That's why they don't need much food. They are also not very active. They don't swim around much, so nature has completely removed their pelvic fins. Most of the time, they slowly swim and graze on algae. Also, because they have had no predators for thousands of years, they don't know fear. They don't even understand what fear is. That's why when divers go down for surveys, many pupfish swim right up to their masks and start following them. There was a time when scientists counted these fish every 6 months. In 2013, when they counted them, the number was only 35, the lowest ever recorded. At that time, scientists almost accepted that in 1 to 2 years, they might be gone forever. But these fish never learned to give up. Slowly, their numbers started to increase again. Usually, their population stays around 100, going up and down over time. But in April 2024, divers counted 191 pupfish, the highest number in the last 25 years. Now the question is, why is this fish so important to us? Scientists say the devil's hole pupfish is important because it shows how far a vertebrate animal can survive in extreme conditions. This fish lives in very hot, low oxygen water where most fish would die. This helps scientists understand how bodies work under extreme stress, and this knowledge can later be used in medicine and medical research. This fish is also a warning bell for the environment. When its population drops, it means the entire ecosystem is in danger. It also reminds us of our moral responsibility, because this species was fine for thousands of years, but came close to extinction because of human activity. And if this species disappears, we won't just lose one fish, we'll lose a unique chance to understand life in extreme conditions. That's why the devil's hole pupfish is so important. So this was a short video about the devil's hole pupfish. If you want to know about any other animal, tell us in the comments and we'll make the next video on that. If you liked the video, comment a fish emoji.